Hey Bookaholics, so welcome back to another video. Today I am bringing you my October wrap-up. Throughout the month of October, I did manage to read some books. I read a lot less than I read in September, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of happy for it. I calmed down with my reading. I knocked off 2 of the intended vlogs that I had. I just scrapped them. I might pick them up next year or whatever. I don't care. I don't care that they didn't see the light of day. I just didn't bother with them. I just simply was like, okay, I'm not going to let content dictate my pace for this month. Not that I had in September particularly, when I did read a load of books, because that was more like magical readathon, but I kind of felt, I think, because I had read so much in September, it's really easy then to lose sight of what my normal reading pace is. Like, I have still read 10 books and DNF'd 1 is still a lot of books, you know, and that's fine. So I think I just needed to calm down this month so that then I can set myself on a reasonable trajectory for the upcoming months. I've got a really dinky, arguably November TBR by my standards. So yeah, I'm just trying to get back into a normal pace after doing the most in September. I did do 2 vlog projects, and then I also read my book club pick. So let's get into the books. The first book I'm going to talk about is I did read Hum, which was my book club pick for my sci-fi book club. It is a monthly book club that I host over on my Discord, which I will leave linked down below, where we chat through some thematically rich, heavy sci-fis. They are usually standalone, sometimes they're companion novels, so it doesn't really matter if you read them as a standalone or not, and they are monthly. It's a monthly book club that we do. This one was picked by my friend Rebecca, who suggested that we read this, and I'm really glad that she did because I hadn't heard of this book at all, and I ended up really enjoying it. I gave it 4 stars. This one was an interesting one for me because I think when it comes to how I feel about sci-fi, I don't need to love the characters the same way as I do in a romance, for example, if the themes are rich. And that was the thing. This book, the characters did suffer by comparison to the plot and the themes, but that was kind of the point, because we're in a world in which technology is taking over, like our world times 1,000, right? It's where the trajectory that we're heading in. We have AI, and this woman who had been working in AI who has now lost her job to AI. She basically submits to a procedure to help with AI so that then they give her a lump sum of money that will hopefully tide her over until they can get a new job, because jobs are dwindling as AI takes over, and as we would expect from a capitalist society, that does not mean that we are living better lives. So she decides that with a bit of that money, she's also going to take her family on holiday. So they all go to this like garden where there is still nature in the city, and they're gonna go spend some days there. Our protagonist family kind of come under threat, and then she has to trust a Hum, an AI, to help her find them and protect them. It's a very interesting story because it's a discussion around the way that technology numbs us to our environment, numbs us to other people. I think it was done in a way that I really appreciated because of the way we were having conversations on a societal level as well as on an individual level. So I would highly recommend that you check it out if you are looking for a thematically rich one. I don't feel strongly about it, but I do really appreciate it. My first project vlog of the month was my spinner wheel. So the first one that I ended up spinning was Satan Hides the Hook by Lumen Reese. This one is a horror book, but it's also got like a levity to it. It's not quite a horror comedy, but it's a light horror, but it's also quite gory. I don't know how to explain it in a way that makes sense, but it's a mixture of both. And this one is the sequel to You Shall All Flesh Come. The first book is about vampires, the second one is about aliens. It's an alien invasion horror, and in this story we are following a man who has been asked to help out with the potential communication with these aliens. He is someone who has obviously a history in the first book that makes it make sense. So you do need to read these in order. I have a great time with Lumen Reese's writing. Lumen Reese is my autumn queen at this point. Like, if I want to read a horror, I will just go for Lumen Reese. I'm really glad that I picked this one up. I really enjoyed it. I can't say a huge amount about it because it's a sequel. Just read the series. It's a great time. The second book that I read for the spinner wheel is one that sadly I didn't enjoy at all, and that was The Burnings by Naomi Kelsey. Now, this is not one that I wouldn't recommend. That sounds weird. I gave this 2 stars. It's not a book that I would not recommend. It is a book that I had problems with. And that will depend on you, because the book is well written. Like, as a story, I actually don't have any complaints about it. My problem with this book is that this is a book that is set around the North Berwick witch trials. And in this story, we are following Galis Duncan, who everyone seems to love focusing on flipping. Poor Galis Duncan. This poor woman, we can't let her rest in peace. Margarita, who was a woman in the court of Queen Anne, who later on went on to marry someone who was executed for betraying the king, etc. So my problem with this book, so we're following literally just the North Berwick witch trials, including, Queen Anne trying to get from Denmark to Scotland and the increased paranoia of King James, etc. My problem with this book in particular is that we are following real people. We are following real people from history, people who we know very, very little about, aside from the horrible way they died, their treatment up until their death. That is all we know about these people, really. We know very little else. We know a little bit about their past employment. We have a woman, Agnes Sampson, who was one of the most prominent people that was executed during these trials. We assume she had children. There is the assumption she had. We do not know how many. We do not know what happened to them after she died. We do not know anything about those children. We know nothing about these people. And therefore, writing this book deserved a lot more. They deserved a lot more care. And I don't think that it was respectful to the memories of these women. These women who were in a patriarchal society, who were taken as prisoners because of a paranoid king and condemned because the men around them coveted their power. In the case of Galis Duncan, she was a better doctor. She was a better midwife and better healer than the men around her, and they hated her for it. In the case of Agnes Sampson, she was an independent woman. She was not beholden to a man, and people did not like that. And they were women who were accused of witchcraft by a paranoid king and bolstered by envious men who wanted to control women. And all of that so that they could rope these poor women into bringing down a man who was trying to betray the king. And the book has it where these women are in on betraying the king. Now, I'm no monarchist. Betray the king. Do your thing. I'm not a monarchist. I'm not pro-monarchy. I'm not particularly against their existence in history. I am not out here being like, poor baby James, betray the man. I don't care. But to take innocent women who we know realistically were innocent women and making it seem as though the crime that they were convicted of for the sole purpose of being to get rid of them, and making it that they actually were involved in that, is distasteful to me personally. And that is not something that I am okay with reading. That being said, it is a well-written book. It's a good story. If there'd been fictional characters, I would have been here for it. You could have even kept James and Boswell as the real guys, as the real people. Just leave Agnes Sampson and Galis Duncan alone now. Leave them alone. I don't know why I feel so defensive of these women, but they got so mistreated in life. They deserve rest and death. But that's a me thing. So if you're interested in this story, obviously don't take it as fact. It's a novel. It's a fiction. Do not go reading this book if you want facts. But if the novel sounds interesting to you, read it. It's not a bad book. It's just one that really bothered me. And I read all the way to the end solely for the purpose of being able to give this commentary on the book and no one be like, oh, well, in the end. The whole way through the book, I have a problem with this book. The next book that I read, however, we're going to flip angles a little bit here, and we have The Spell Shop. I did really enjoy The Spell Shop. Is it a new favourite? No, it's not. I understand why people are raving about it. I do. It's not a new favourite for me personally. This was one that really made me kind of confront a little bit of internalized misogyny that I have. Because our protagonist keeps doing this thing where she is really angry at the love interest. The love interest is doing all of these really nice things for her, helping her build a fire and clear out her chimney chute and helping her navigate her way back around this town that she can't remember. And she is really annoyed that he is doing this because he keeps infringing on her boundaries. Like, she comes home and he's there because he's clearing out her chimney. So he's doing something nice, but he's not asked. He's not asked her if that's what she wants. He's not asked her if that's okay. He just keeps showing up is because he loved her parents and therefore he really wants to help her out as a way of repaying her parents. So it's not in a creepy way, but it's still infringing on her boundaries. And I understand that that is not okay. But obviously we're seeing this guy be really nice and be super helpful and her just being like, go away. So it made me really have to sit back and think, okay, what he's doing is cute. Her telling him to fuck off is also fine. Like, they can exist in the same universe. So I really liked that. This is a story of a young woman who used to live in this tiny community out in the middle of nowhere, moved to the big city with her family, began working in a library, in like the library, the Major's library of the city. Then a revolution happens and they set the library on fire. So she flees with some of her favorite books from the library and goes back to where she's from. Then while she's there, she starts a spell shop. It is how the spell shop blooms in this community, how she becomes part of this community, etc. I did really enjoy it. Not a new favorite, but I did really like it. Another one that I did like but not love, another one that I don't think will necessarily stay with me, is After the Forest by Kel Woods. This is one that I really wanted to love because it's about Hansel and Gretel after the forest. Hansel and Gretel, once they have escaped the witch, they're adults and their lives. In this story, Gretel, when they fled the witch's cottage, the gingerbread house, she took with her the witch's grimoire, and in it, obviously, there are recipes, including this highly addictive gingerbread that she begins to make when her family fall on hard times so that people keep coming back and spending money. Obviously, that then leads to people being suspicious of her, and we look into the way that superstition can spread through a community. Now, I really do like the writing style in here, and I liked the atmosphere in here. I just wanted more of it. I wanted the atmosphere to feel stronger. I think with a book that is aimed and framed this way, I needed it to be incredibly tangibly atmospheric, and it just wasn't quite there. And then because we're focusing on a relatively small cast of characters, I wanted to have loved them more. I wanted for them to have been people I felt like I knew, and I didn't quite reach that either. So there were lots of things that were good, but that could have been excellent, and I can't tell you exactly how. I'm not any better versed in writing than Kel Woods is. So I can't tell you what things I wanted more of. I just know that I wanted more atmosphere and I wanted to feel the characters more than I did. The second half was better for sure. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. I wouldn't deter you from reading it, but I think that this was a good time, not a long time kind of book. And the only other thing that came up on the spinner wheel that I'm only going to briefly touch on because I didn't read it, I DNF'd it, and that is The Forest of Hands and Teeth by Carrie Ryan. Now, I don't actually have a problem with this book. I started reading it and it was fine. I'm never going to continue the series and I'm never going to think about this book again. So I thought I'm going to stop and I'm going to read things that I want to be reading instead. But if I had read this book when it came out in 2009, I would have loved this. It's not there is anything wrong with the book. I didn't DNF it because it's like I dislike the book. I am not its target audience anymore. And if I'd read it when I would have liked it and I would have probably still thought of it fondly. I am not anymore. I don't like YA really anymore. There are a few that every now and then kind of break through into my cold dead heart, but for the most part I don't read YA anymore, and this reads very much like a product of its time. It is a 2009 YA book and it reads as such, and the way that the romance was seemingly showing its head in the bit that I read, I can't even remember where I got to. I knew that I wasn't going to think about this book again. I knew I wasn't going to continue the series. I didn't really see the point in continuing the book, so it was a good book for its intended audience. I am just not it. And the other vlog project that I had, the other vlog that I did for this month, is that I did read a load of witchy romances, cozy witchy romances, I guess you'd want to call them. Yeah, I did a whole vlog on that and I read 5 books. I really did enjoy my vlog. I mean, none of the books are quite like this is new favorite territory, but I did enjoy my time with the vlog. The first book that I read for this vlog is I read Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood, and this one is less of a romance than the rest. I see it on so many romance lists. It's not really. There's a romance subplot. I would say the romance subplot is about 3rd tier. Yeah, we'll go with the 3rd tier of the book. So top tier, you have this girl who is figuring out her life and trying to come to terms with who she is as a person, and it's that like I've just hit 30 and I still haven't got my shit together kind of thing. Then you've got other elements of her social life and personal life and professional life. So you've got, like, on the one hand, work's kind of going a bit shit. On the other hand, at least she's got an awesome bestie. Also, like, her relationship with her mother, which is actually wholesome for a change. And then under that, we've got the romance. I would say it's in that order. So there is a romance, but it's not a romance book, in my opinion. It's a cozy fantasy, contemporary thing. This is the story of a young woman who has just turned 30, and at turning 30, you get evaluated by your coven to see if you've been using your magic well enough to deserve to keep it. She's not really been using her magic for a hot minute, and she's never really been fussed about her magic. So when she fails her trial, she is then given a month to be able to impress them enough that she might keep her magic. Like, she has like a month period to prove that she does deserve to keep her magic. And she's allocated this bodyguard because some stuff seems to be happening that shouldn't be happening. That's where the romance comes in. And she's trained by someone, the only person in recent history who had his magic removed due to the misuse of magic thing that we've got going here. So then we have these big magic things that are going on where someone's clearly trying to sabotage her, and she doesn't even understand why someone's trying to sabotage her. And then also you've got the stuff that's going on in her real world life as well. I really liked this. I think that the conversations around the way, especially in the Western world, we look at purpose and the way we look at meaning of life, and the way that then that puts pressure on ourselves and how damaging that can be, I think was really well handled, and I did really enjoy it. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. And I would highly recommend you check it out. It did get me in my feelings a few times. The next one that I read was A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Hawley. And this one is one that I liked and had problems with at the same time. I really liked the story itself. I got really wrapped up in it. The third act breakup was fucking awful. Now, no one likes a third act breakup, right? None of us are like, oh my god, I can't wait till we get to the third act breakup. Like, no one likes them, but it's a romance. We know they're there. We know it's coming, blah, blah, blah. I really hated this one. Sometimes the third act breakup nearly ruins a book for me. It lost a whole star because of the third act breakup, the way it was handled. But this was an interesting one because it was discussing mental health in a way that I thought was actually quite triggering. Like, it was very intense. If you suffer from anxiety disorders, especially if it is due to familial trauma, I would check a load of content warnings here. Maybe ask someone about it if you don't mind some mild spoilers, because it's a very intense book when it comes to familial trauma, especially familial trauma in a less prevalent way than you would normally get it. So it's not like your typical forms of abuse that people understand and recognize. It's that subtle abuse, the consistent microaggressions, and the way that someone can be really controlling in your life, and how oppressive it was. And it was intense. It was really intense. So I would recommend you check content warnings for this one, because I found it triggering, and I have no familial trauma. I mean, you know, I was born, thanks mum, but other than that, like, I have no familial trauma, and I found it triggering. But I had a good time with it. The romance felt a little bit too insta love for me. I'd have settled for insta lust. I'm here for insta lust, okay? I love insta lust because I don't mind doing it backwards. I do not mind you absolutely wanted to tear someone's clothes off way before you were interested in their soul. You know, so get it. I'll explain in a minute. So I would have been fine for insta lust. I felt like the feelings part came in a bit too quickly for me personally. But other than that, had a good time with it. This is the story of a young woman who is destined to be the best witch that has ever witched, but she's failing epically at it because she's not interested. She just wants to do plant magic, which is not deemed the superior magic. And therefore she accidentally summons a demon, and now she's kind of stuck in this demon bargain because he can't leave until she fulfills the bargain. But she doesn't want to fulfill the bargain. She doesn't want to hand her soul over. So it means that then basically they are kind of just stuck together. And therefore when her mum comes round, she's too embarrassed to admit that she accidentally summoned a demon. So instead she tells her mum that this guy's her new boyfriend. So they're also fake dating now. So they're fake dating until he can convince her to hand over her soul. He really wants her to hand over her soul. He's lost his reputation as a good collector of souls, and therefore he desperately wants this powerful witch's soul to get his reputation back. However, he also has other secrets that come to light throughout the book. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy the book. I just, like I said, had some problems, especially with the third act breakup. The next book that I read was Hex and Hexability by Kate Johnson. This is the third book in the Best Hex Ever series. And this one is probably my least favorite, which is terrible because this one's a Regency and I should have loved it. But I think my problem is that it was like two books that were like the two elements felt too separate to me. I really wanted there to be a marriage of Regency romance and cozy witchy books like the others that I have read. And I didn't get that. I got a Regency romance with some bizarre witchy stuff thrown in, and that's kind of it. I didn't get the cozy witchiness that I wanted. Also, because this series is a series of companion novels, I didn't really feel like I ever got a full grasp on how the magic works. So it's just kind of like there. So it's a fun time, not a long time. Like I still really enjoyed it. It was 3 stars. I had loads of fun with it. It's not necessarily one I will think about again or feel very strongly about. The next one that I read was Payback's a Witch by Lana Harper, the only sapphic one on this list, and I had a great time with this one. This one's got 3.5 to 4 stars. I really liked it. I just don't think I'm going to think about it very much, which is a shame. This is one in which we are following a woman who had like fled her small town, witchy town that she'd lived and grown up in and gone to start a new life away from all of her magic. However, when she's called back to her town to help arbitrate this trial that goes on where it determines which family of the prominent witchy families get to have control of the magic of the town, basically. And while she's back, she is just going to do her familiar duty of helping arbitrate, and then she's going to leave again. While she's there, she wants to catch up with her bestie. It turns out that she's also very attracted to this other woman named Talia. However, she later finds out that the ex-boyfriend that was the main reason why she ended up fleeing the town in the first place also broke both Talia and her best friend's hearts, Lyndon, her best friend. Therefore, the two women are now colluding to bring down this man, and they want our protagonist's help. And that's kind of it, really. We get the trials, and then we get kind of the romantic relationship building between Talia and our protagonist, and that's about it. And I think that that's my problem, is that like the trial part was good but not hugely new, and the romance part was good but not hugely new, and then the combination of the two didn't elevate them enough for me to be like, wow, this is new favorite territory. I liked the trials, I liked the romance, I didn't feel hugely strongly about them either way. And the last one that I read for that vlog is The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. This one is probably the one that popularized the genre. I'm not saying it invented it. The genre has been around for a very long time, but it popularized that like cozy contemporary romance, but make it witchy. This is the one that kind of really brought that into fruition. And this one is the story of a young woman who, when she was young, she got her heart broken by this guy. She kind of drunkenly cursed him with a bubble bath and a candle and didn't think that it would mean anything until he comes back about 9 years later, and he is cursed, and he's come back to renew the ley lines of the town. So he has now passed his curse into the ley lines, and they have to work together to try and undo her curse. I enjoyed it. I liked the romance. The romantic lead was quite decent as well because he felt like a genuinely flawed person. I said in the vlog, in a lot of romances, you tend to have a guy who is flawed in the sense that he has like one flaw that is actually normally incredibly endearing, and it's solely put in there to make it seem like he's not absolutely perfect at all times, and he still is. Or we have a guy who is a walking red flag, but we love him anyway. This guy was neither. He was a person. He has some traits that are like not perfect, but he's not an asshole at the same time. Like, he was a good balance, and I really appreciated that. So yeah, I had a good time with this one. I will definitely be continuing a decent amount of these witchy romance series, which is good. That's kind of all I've got. That's all of the books that I read. I feel like this has still been a very long video because I've had a lot to say on these books, but I did enjoy my time with these books, which is, I think, the most important part. I don't think there is anything aside from the burnings, which I really did have quite a visceral reaction to, as I'm sure you can still see now, like nearly a month later, I'm still raging at it. I enjoyed the rest of the books that I read. Again, even the one I DNF'd, it wasn't because I was hating it, it was just I didn't see the point in continuing. So a good month overall, and a good mental health reset as well. So hopefully I can come into November with fighting spirit. But that is all from me for today. So let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these and your thoughts on them. What was the best book that you read in the month of October? And also, based on my liking of these books, if you have any other recommendations, I would sure like to know. And I will hopefully catch you in another video soon.